Come, little children, I'll take thee away into a land of enchantment. Come, little children, the time's come to play here in my garden of shadows.
Hello, I'm Runya, aka Media Adaptation,
And I'm Ada.
and welcome you back to Moderation, where all media is fair game. And if you'd like to give feedback, then feel free to leave a comment or hit up our Discord channel. Link will be down in the description below. Anyway, it's time once again to talk about the supposedly lost taste style anime Go for a Punch, aka Saki Sanobashi, where we cover any new developments on the Discord and Reddit channels, and then cover some older anime and manga. And of course, we're going to start off with the Discord, where someone has stepped forth and said that they've seen Saki before, and of all places, it was on Yahoo, which is something I never really thought about looking at before. But like many things, you have to take it with a grain of salt, as some people don't buy his story. Again, citing lack of proof. But also a red flag that popped up was the fact that his Discord account was only made recently, just to make this post, which is something that we've seen trolls do numerous times before. But it's also likely that they don't really use Discord, so it's best to play it safe. Look into what they claim, but also don't blindly trust them either. We've also been asked to do a follow-up on the look at the Russian site from a week or two back, to which we've heard nothing on. No real info in any real capacity, and no word if the lead was just abandoned. Again, if you have any information about this, then feel free to share it down in the comments below. But on a similar topic, one thing of note that we've been asked to talk about was a site called Nomada, which kinda seems like a very basic archive site, but again, don't quote me on that as this isn't my forte. Hopefully we'll learn more about this over time. The last thing to note here is that the founder of the Lost Media Wiki actually popped on the Discord, though he hasn't been that active. It's just really neat to see them taking interest, as well as the people from the Mysterious Song Search. And while they are a different type of search, any tips on media research is always appreciated. And now on to the main Reddit. Again, this was made by members of the Discord, so a good chunk of their stories are ones that we've already talked about. Oh, and they just hit 2K on their members. I think it was only at 1700 last time that we looked, so a big head to the group behind it. Which I'm not sure all the members behind it, but I do believe that would be Starman as well as Honey and Vanilla Tea. Again, I technically don't know if they run it or not, but they are the names that pop up the most from my experience. But as for news from there, we have someone posting this image, which we've seen before, from My Mia, which I believe was just a mystery/comedy thing. Then we have someone inquiring about Demonophobia, which is a game about a girl getting sent to hell. And yeah, it has been quite a while since the last time we talked about that one. Also others questioning about the origins of the anime called Saki from 2009, which again has continued to pop up from time to time. One of those things that make the search rather difficult. And finally, another inquisition about the manga Kenji Gahura. I so butchered that name. From 2004, which I believe we covered back when we looked at the torrent of Goro manga. So I'm pretty sure that could safely be ruled out. Anyway, on to the other Reddit, and right off the bat we have someone asking about if the manga Metamorphosis has anything to do with Saki. Yes, this was probably just a troll, and yes, I remember that this was one of the things that people requested that we looked at, and we are still planning to cover it in the future. Again, IRL kind of messed up all our plans. And the rest of the posts here are primarily just troll ones. And some other people asking about some topics that, again, was covered on the other Reddit. So let's go ahead and just post some of the multitude of fan art that we got since the past video. Again, I'll try to put the right names with the right posts. Again, if I mess up, then please feel free to tell me down in the comments below. And for our anime for this week, we've had an odd request to cover one called Elf 17 from 1987. And to summarize, the Galactic Prince wants to travel the galaxy. I guess just to go sightseeing. But doesn't want to go unprepared, so he holds a tournament to find the strongest one out there to act as their escort and accompany them in their travel. So it comes down to a fight between a shield user and a mecha pilot called KK. And just before the fight begins, a third person joins the battle, the titular elf, who is more like a fairy or actually just a pixie. But it doesn't matter as she's super strong, and just one-shots her shield guy. KK doesn't want to fight a girl, so the prince comes down and declares her the winner. But she can't accept this till she actually beats him in a fair fight. So the two begin to brawl, and it's actually pretty fun. But it ends with her short-circuiting his suit, causing it to just spam missiles, thus destroying the arena. And it's kind of funny how the prince doesn't really care, or doesn't even bat an eye at this, while he watches it burn from his penthouse later on. But KK comes back and wants a rematch, and actually manages to knock her out with his tech, so the prince decides to just hire them both for the trip. And then we get some common slapstick from the time, until when the engines goes out and the ship crashes on a nearby planet. The locals take them in, and they're told of this forbidden tomb, which of course KK and Elf check out that night, and use their combined strength to move the lid, which turns out to be an ancient wine cellar. And the pilot betrayed them, saying that he planned this entire thing out, which it doesn't really hold water when you start to think about it, given just how many things could have gone wrong and just killed them all in an instant. If it really was your plan, you got incredibly lucky. So he plans to sell all this to some traders that are waiting for him. And in an old episode of Lupin III, they stole a bottle of wine from Napoleon's collection, which went for a couple million. So yeah, you could imagine the cost of an entire storeroom of the stuff. But no one's shocked when they actually turn on him as well, and then accidentally awaken an army of Tanuki golems, which our group can't even stop, until Elf decides to just hit them in their oversized balls, and like many other things in life, they soon crumble. And everyone lives happily ever after. They take the other ship, and the village uses the wine to fund their town's development. All in all, not a half-bad little film, and only clocks in about 30 minutes. And the subtitle version of this is on YouTube, so if you like, I'd say give it a look. And for our adult animation for this week, we'll briefly talk about Bible Black from 2001. Yes, I know we promised to look at Euphoria, but sadly the final episode kinda glitched out on us, so we haven't had a chance to actually finish it yet. But a lot like that one, this anime was based on an off-brand game that came out the year before. And the anime consists of the worst protagonist that I've ever seen, as he finds the titular book, and with its power, uses it to bang different girls. And once other people start to show interest in its magic, he tries to take the high ground and says it's evil, but still becomes their lackey anyway. Again, we're only going to talk about this one briefly, because we still plan to do a full review on this in a future episode, which we'll try and put out very soon, so keep an eye out for it. And we'll end this video with another look at the works of artist Shin Mu. Again, these are just my attempts to translate the ones that are still in Japanese, so forgive me if I make a mistake. But anyway, let's start off with this one entitled Bad Story. And we meet a girl who, like the title suggests, hasn't had a good life. She has this disconnect. When someone hurts her, it doesn't matter, as it's almost like it's happening to someone else. But this also comes with a few drawbacks, as she doesn't know how to respond when faced with something new. And it still doesn't change her given life, as it continues to be toxic. She of course thought of suicide, but again, that wouldn't really change anything. And the same could be said if she tried to take her frustration out on someone else, like an animal. Her own thoughts and frustration continue to echo in her mind, to the point where she can't even recognize her own face in a mirror. It also doesn't help when it starts to talk back, promising the peace that comes with the sweet release of death. But she can still see through the lies, and smashes the mirror. and then again she's left with her own thoughts, which still echo with the words of others, that quickly pile up, and even if death wouldn't solve anything, life isn't helping that much either, as she uses the broken glass to end her suffering. Well, it at least lives up to its title of not being a happy story. So let's move on to our last one for the day, and it's called God's Story. And it's an interesting tale of two girls debating the existence of God. And I can't help shake the feeling that I've seen that girl with black hair before. And speaking of which, she plays the role of the skeptic, stating that if God exists, then couldn't they easily prove its existence by helping someone who is hungry and thus making a follower for their life? But since it fails at even that, then it couldn't really exist, thus making God only as strong as you believe him to be. And then a girl with white hair shows up, addressing herself as God, who then pulls out a knife and then delivers some divine judgment on her, which sadly doesn't really do that much, thus proving her point that no faith equals no power. And another girl being upset because it doesn't really seem worth the hassle to believe. And that about does it for this video. If you have any other ideas like Saki made to a video, then please post it down in the comments below, and we'll add it to our next viewer request week.
It's now time for the part of the show where we ask you to help us appease the YouTube algorithm by dropping a like, share, or comment. It helps out much more than you'd think.
And if you haven't subscribed yet, then it's very much appreciated. And if you'd like to support this channel, then please visit our Patreon. Link will be down in the description below. Even if you can't give a lot, every little bit helps.
We also have a Let's Play channel where we play different horror games, or just whatever he feels like sometimes. The link to it is also in the description.
And I guess I'll see you in the next one. Anyway, I'm Runya.
And I'm Ada.
Remind you to take life in moderation.
Weep not, poor children, for life is this way, murdering beauty and passion.